Hello, my name is Dr. Switzer, and today we're going to learn about different types of medium in literature. We're also going to compare the different mediums to improve our comprehension skills. Medium is how a text is presented. Mediums can be the spoken word, film, fine arts, pictures or paintings or sculptures with bronze, oil, pen, or ink, graphic arts, which can consist of poster boards, billboards, or books, a photograph, a video, or internet and multimedia, printed, spoken video. Why do we compare and contrast with literature? Well, it helps you better comprehend what you read. It can exercise your higher level thinking skills. It's a skill used in all content areas, and it can help in making judgments about similarities and differences between items or people. Keywords when dealing with comparing and contrasting. Compare words you could see would be similar, in common, alike, compare. Contrasting words are different, dissimilar, also contrast as well. Looking at a definition for literature, you can say it can be anything that tells a story, regardless of the method used. Spoken stories have been around for a very long time, even before humans could write. Once writing was available, stories could be recorded and passed on to others. Live theater performances are usually based on written script. These scripts are adapted when we have films and television programs from them. Let's look at fictional media and let's look at a poem. There are many specific qualities of poetry that set it apart from the other genre of fiction. Poems take a traditional form, including with rhyme and rhythm. Various line lengths and stanza breaks also come into play with poetry, and you may have to read some examples of this type of poetry, like a sonnet by William Shakespeare. And we've also talked about haikus. When you read a poem, you say the words in your mind and try to capture the image and meaning. Now, let's imagine that you have an opportunity to go to a poetry reading and hear a poet perform his or her own poems. This is quite a different experience from reading a poem, because you'll get to hear the words as a poet intended, read them at the same time. The writer's tone of voice and inflection give all new meanings to the poem. Hearing and reading poetry are different experiences, as hearing involves your auditory senses and reading requires you to interpret the words in your mind. All right, now let's talk about theater and movie as a medium. When watching a play on stage, there are elements that come between the words and the script and your experience of the story. You have a director who has a great deal of input on what you see on the stage. There are actors who interpret the actions and emotions and tone of the playwriter's characters. And of course, the setting must necessarily be a representation of a place and time intended. Other features with live theater is that you have no opportunity to return to a scene or a bit of dialogue that you've missed. You, as a viewer, are constrained to only know only what you see and hear as the story unfolds before you. Films also allow a great movement be shared with their audience. For example, a cattle stampede in a stage play wouldn't necessarily be an event that takes place off stage. Let's practice. Let's read an excerpt from the book Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. This focus will be when it rains hamburgers. Questions to think about while reading and watching Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. How did the book set up the hamburgers falling from the sky? How did the movie? Who is telling the story in each? What characters are around when the hamburgers fall from the sky? What is the tone and mood of each? And which excerpt did you find more appealing? All right, let's read the excerpt of the book, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and focus will be on when it rains hamburgers. But there was no food stores in the town of Chew and Swallow. They didn't need any. The sky supplied all the food they could possibly want. The only thing that was really different about Chew and Swallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and everything that everyone ate came from the sky. Whatever the weather served, that was what they ate. But it never rained rain. It never snowed snow. And it never blew just wind. It rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes and green beans. And sometimes the wind blew in a storm of hamburgers. There's our hamburgers.
Oh! Do you know how hard it is to break a sweater? I spent my entire life building. You get 1 shot at the show, and if you don't make it, it's back to cleaning the barometers.
But that could only mean...
Now let's compare the two mediums. What happens before the hamburgers fell from the sky in the book and the movie? How is the story told from the book and the movie? And who's around when the hamburgers fall from the sky in the book and in the movie? So in the book, what happens before the hamburgers fell from the sky? The book discussed the people ate whatever the weather served him. In the movie, Flint and Sam are at the pier and Sam is upset. Next, how is the story told? In the book, Grandpa was telling the story as a bedtime story. In the movie, the story is told from a third-person point of view. And who's around when the hamburgers fall from the sky in the book? No one is in the picture. And in the movie, it's Sam and Flint. And the movie also shows other characters' reaction to the hamburgers that we wouldn't necessarily see in the book. Which excerpt did you find appealing? And why? I like the movie because you get to see all the facial features and how people react to different things. Now let's fill in the double bubble on the comparing the book to the movie. So we have the book, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and the movie, Cloudy Chance of Meatballs. So what's similar? Both of the medium have the title Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. What's a few differences for the movie? Food falling from the sky was a new concept from the clip that we watched, and it followed Flint and Sam's reaction as well as other towns people. And let's look at the book's differences. The townspeople knew food fell from the sky, and another difference is the townspeople ate whatever fell from the sky with no choice. This concludes our lesson today on comparing medium with literature.